Hi, and welcome to this four-part webinar on phishing attacks and recommended solutions to protect your organization. For those who don't know me, my name is Dean Navarro. I'm a solutions architect here at Aikens IT. I've been here for a little less than a year and have a focus on Exchange administration, migrations, as well as email security. Today, we're going to be reviewing on a high level phishing and as well as some of the solutions available to protect your organization from one of the largest entry points in your organization. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. So here's going to be the topics we are going to be covering today. This webinar is going to be broken up into 4 parts. Part 1 is phishing today and how it affects your organization. A high-level overview of what phishing is, how it works, as well as some research on why it's important to ensure your users are protected. Part 2 is Mimecast's anti-phishing solution, where we'll be reviewing the Mimecast Targeted Threat Protection Suite and how they help educate your users. Part 3 is going to be on Office 365 ATP anti-phishing solution, where we'll be reviewing Microsoft's method of security with a focus on user identities and telemetry it provides to other products. And part 4, lastly, is FortiMail's anti-phishing solution. We'll be reviewing FortiMail's ability to address email threats and the Forti ecosystem. Okay, so here's part 1 where we're reviewing high level what is phishing, how does it work, the types of phishing techniques, and phishing statistics. So what is phishing? By definition, it's an attack on individuals in an attempt to steal sensitive information through emails, websites, text messages, or other forms of electronic communication that often look like official communication from like a legitimate company or individual. The information these cyber criminals attempt to steal can be like usernames, passwords, credit cards, bank account information, or other credentials. Attackers then use this information for malicious purposes, such as hacking, identity theft, stealing money from bank accounts or credit cards, and in some cases, it's even sold in cyber criminal underground marketplaces. So how does it work? Well, phishing attacks often use social engineering, bait, or lure content. For organization, a successful phishing attack typically entails discovery and planning by collecting what information is available publicly, such as on a company website, social media, or even domain records such as SPF and MX. This may allow a cyber criminal to articulate the naming scheme in an organization for user accounts, high-ranking officials, what email security solutions being utilized, or even what vendors are being used internally. A cyber criminal will then move to trial and error, where they begin to determine what users may expect on a day-to-day, as well as monitor the results of their fraudulent emails. Most commonly, it's legitimate looking communication, usually email, that links to a phishing site that mimics sign-in pages that require users to input login credentials and/or account information. The phishing site then captures the sensitive information as soon as the user provides it, giving attackers access to this information. Once they have garnered any level of access, they will use this to either initiate an attack or gather additional information to create an even more devised attack. So when thinking about common types of phishing techniques that are used against organizations, you would think of whaling, which is a form of phishing in which the attack is directed at a high-level executive within organizations. The content could be written as a legal subpoena or customer complaints or other executive issues. Then you also would see impersonation, which is where a cyber criminal may attempt to create an email that looks like it's being sent from the CEO, CFO, or other important people in the organization, and request for a specific task to be performed or access to a specific document. In addition to this, you also have to consider spear phishing. One common question I'm asked is, what is the difference between spear phishing and phishing? Spear phishing is a targeted phishing attack involving highly customized lure content towards a specific organization. This socially engineered email would be designed to lure you into opening documents or clicking links that automatically install malware. Phishing, on the other hand, is a more broad, automated attack that is less sophisticated or targeted, and its intentions would be to send out as many emails as you could to as many domains as possible, and then monitor for any results. So reviewing from Verizon's 2019 Data Breach Investigations Report, and for those who don't know what this is an annual analysis of security events impacting organizations around the globe. This is the 12th edition of this report, which contains comprehensive summary of data breaches, that were reported by public and private entities around the globe. I won't be spending a whole lot of time here, but would definitely recommend reviewing in detail to garner a further understanding of the current cybersecurity landscape. Some report highlights from here are, though, 43% of attacks, cyber attacks, were on small businesses. C-suite executives are 12 times more likely to be targeted in social engineering attacks than other employees. Phishing is involved in 32% of breaches and 78% of cyber espionage incidents. And then really a big kicker here, 90% of malware arrives via email. And then ransomware is the second biggest malware threat and is accounted for 24% of malware-related breaches. These highlights are important because it shows the vulnerability and, in other words, the enticement for cyber criminals to target organizations who don't have an appropriate solution in place. The solutions that we are discussing today are solutions that provide protection against this, as well as phishing overall. So with that, we conclude part one of this webinar. We reviewed what phishing is, how it works, the types of phishing, and some phishing statistics. Moving into part two of this webinar, we're going to be reviewing the first anti-phishing solution, which is Mimecast. This is the solution we presently protect ourselves here at Aikens IT, and it has an excellent suite of tools that extend even further than phishing. In here, we'll be reviewing platform type, requirements to implement, security measures in the targeted threat protection suite, user training, and some other considerations, including integration with other services. Here we see the Mimecast administration dashboard, which gives us visibility on email queues, activity over the last 24 hours, total email traffic and rejection. And this also allows you the ability to quickly identify any abnormalities with your service, such as an outage that would cause your inbound and outbound email queues to rise. This can kind of be seen right through in here. This operates on a software as a service platform, which on a high level means there is no management of the software or hardware, and is provided as a cloud solution through a web interface. In terms of requirements, there are none for implementation, and it's available for any email system. So by heading into administration menu gateway, we will be able to find the policies we are reviewing, which for anti-phishing and other targeted attacks, you're presented with, again, the targeted threat protection suite. Here we can see the plethora of policies available for configuration to fine-tune this really for your organization, but emphasized by the red boxes, you see the policies that target phishing specifically. So on a high level, what do these do? Well, firstly, with URL Protect, you're provided with the ability to rewrite URLs found in emails, including URLs and attachments, and provide real-time scanning with every click on any device. This is all achieved by rewriting URLs in emails into a Mimecast URL that directs users to a Mimecast landing page where a layered security check is performed on the destination site. This check reviews blacklists, real-time feeds, cache feeds, as well as it does also perform heuristic analysis and domain impersonation detection. If Mimecast finds the site to be malicious, you're able to control here how users will be able to proceed, as well as use this opportunity to educate users. More on this in user training. Moving into Attachment Protect, we begin looking into how we protect attachments sent to users. Mimecast provides safe file on demand, preemptive sandbox, and dynamic configuration. With save file, we take attachments that could contain malicious code and replace them with safe versions. This allows for immediate delivery of attachments, and in cases where the original file is needed, employees could even request the original file, where it is then scanned on demand before delivery. With preemptive sandbox, we're able to break down attachments using full system emulation and virtualization to open the file and perform a deep security analysis to spot malicious activity at a code level and detect malicious actions in executable and non-executable code. If the file was deemed safe, the mail would be delivered to the recipient. Lastly, we have dynamic configuration, which is what allows users to control delivery options based on the sender. It uses safe file with on demand by default, and then preemptive sandbox for trusted senders. This provides the ability to combine the above features we had just reviewed briefly, and the ability for emails to be delivered instantly with no delays. Lastly, with the Targeted Threat Protection Suite, we look at Impersonation Protect. This service provides the ability for real-time scanning of all inbound emails to detect header anomalies, domain similarities, recency of sending domains, as well as sender spoofing. You're able to add the names of key users and prevent mail from being delivered when a match comes through. Here you can see a typical Schedule C definition where you would have a direct check against the internal username. Oops, sorry about that. A direct check against the internal username and a requirement of 1 hit to be subject to hold. It'd be recommended to complement this with a general policy that checks for more hits, but with an increased tolerance to prevent false positives. And here we're able to see some of the monitoring capabilities of URL Protect, but the same applies to impersonation and attachment protect as well as others. With this, you're able to evaluate mail and confirm if the policies that have been configured are a good fit for your organization, as well as get a deeper analysis on the specifics of Mimecast's findings. Moving into user training, in many ways you have to think that saying you are as strong as your weakest link applies when you think about cybersecurity risk. While the policies we just discussed do strongly reduce your chances of a successful phishing attack, your last layer of defense is your users. An important fundamental concept you could apply here is when you analyze the anatomy of a successful cyber attack, nearly all of them have one thing in common. A user somewhere did something that could have been avoided. Mimecast has a product dedicated to this with awareness training, but also incorporates this in some of the policies we had previously discussed. One example of this would be URL Protect. When a user clicks on a link, you can configure the ability to occasionally and randomly test users on whether this link they clicked on was safe or not. This allows admins to go back later and provide training with the users on where they may have went wrong without any of the actual consequences. This is kind of just denoted throughout here. So moving into other considerations and as well as some integrations with other services, Mimecast is able to be integrated with Active Directory sync with on-prem Exchange, Office 365, Azure Active Directory, G Suite, and is compatible with single sign-on. Mimecast has a growing library of API and tech partners to complement this SaaS solution. Some of these would include Salesforce, ConnectWise, or Rapid7, IBM Resilience, Sega Tech, Palo Alto, as you can see on the screen here. In addition to the integration with these other services, and when speaking outside of phishing, some considerations here would be with Mimecast would be that you would also include mailbox continuity, information archiving, secure messaging, and there's a personal portal for your users. So there we are. Just to recap here for part 2, we reviewed the platform type, the requirements to implement, security measures as it relates to phishing, user training, and some of the integrations with other services. Some advantages you find here that you don't find in the majority of other solutions is the focus on user training, the personal portal for end users. This is to create and control safe lists, block lists, and depending on your policies that are configured, user holds to release their own mail. This tied with SSO providing a pretty seamless experience for your end users. And lastly, we have mailbox continuity to prevent mail loss due to outages. Okay, part 3. Here we'll be reviewing Office 365 Anti-Phishing solution, which is Office 365 ATP. We'll be reviewing platform type, requirements to implement, some security measures, such as safe attach, safe links, anti-phishing, and user training, and then some other considerations, including integrations with other services. Office 365 ATP is a cloud-based email filtering service that helps protect your organization against unknown malware and viruses by providing robust zero-day protection. It includes features to safeguard your organization from harmful links in real time. It operates on the SaaS platform or software as a service, and requirements would be for implementation Azure Active Directory, which is automatic with Office 365 Exchange Online mailboxes, or it can be configured for an on-premise Exchange or other SMTP email solution. By heading to Office 365 Security and Compliance Center and reviewing policies under threat management, you're presented with the O365 ATP suite. We'll be reviewing safe attachments first. So with safe attachments, you provide a zero-day protection to safeguard your messaging system by checking email attachments for malicious content. It routes all messages and the attachments that do not have virus malware signatures to a sandboxing environment. It then uses machine learning and analysis techniques to detect malicious intent. You can configure this policy to monitor, which is where it only tracks and scans, shows the scan results. Block, which blocks the whole email and malicious attachments altogether. Replace, which that will deliver the mail but remove the malicious attachments. And lastly, dynamic delivery, which avoids message delays while still protecting recipients from malicious files by delivering the email without full attachments immediately, and then reattaches those once the scan is complete. One element you don't see in this configuration screen with dynamic delivery is the preview function, which covers most PDFs as well as Office documents, and they'd be able to be viewed in a safe mode version of that file while the ATP scanning is underway. And then here you see safe links, which provides time-of-click verification of URLs, for example, in email messages and Office suite files. Protection is ongoing and applies across your messaging platform, your messaging platform, as well as your Office environment, including other Office applications. This would include, things such as Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Safe links remains accessible, and malicious links are dynamically blocked. For end users in your organization, you are able to control if scanning is complete before delivering messages to users or for real-time scanning. With the anti-phishing policy that you see here, you protect attempts to impersonate your users and organization and your organizational domain. It applies machine learning models and impersonation detection algorithms to prevent phishing attacks. This actually works in conjunction with safe attachments and safe links, and therefore multiple machine learning models to analyze the message to determine if this policy applies to the message and the appropriate action is taken. This also enables mailbox intelligence, which monitors users' email habits and personal contacts. It also identifies unusual activity like sending an abnormal amount of mail or data during unusual time periods, which could be a key indicator of like data exfiltration. When this is triggered, you then determine what occurs automatically by the mail intelligence action option, which you can see here. In this case, we're just quarantining the message. In terms of user training, Microsoft provides capabilities to train users in a more direct manner with Attack Simulator. In this, you'll be able to run realistic attack scenarios in your organization, which can help identify and find vulnerable scans. Some attacks you're able to create include display name spear phishing attacks, password spray attacks, and brute force attacks. This feature is unique in that you're able to create a custom reusable email template for your organization. You may be even surprised to learn that Microsoft had actually used this internally when they were developing Attack Simulator with the Xbox One X launch. It was a employee pre-order email, and it actually had a 60% click rate, which allowed them to go back and provide some training and remediation overall. Similarly to other solutions, URL Protect also provides an element of user training here with indicating when URLs were detected to be malicious. As shown on the screen here, you can see the various prompts that appear for your end users. So integration with other services, one of the key elements to Office 365 ATP is not only its focus on email security, but Microsoft also provides telemetry with other ATP solutions such as Defender ATP and Azure ATP in the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. The true benefit here is the more or less the built-in and not bolt-on approach that really no other vendor is able to provide. Advanced Threat Protection, or ATP, works 24/7 and provides automated investigation and response. One example of this would be malware zap, where if malware is weaponized after being delivered to users, it will remove previously delivered messages and initiate an automated investigation to determine who else may have been impacted or was delivered the same payload. Some other considerations with Office 365 ATP would be user submission with the report mail add-in. This is dynamically added to Outlook for end users when it's enabled. This provides the ability for end users to submit emails as junk or phishing, which with admin approval can allow automatic investigations to increase your cybersecurity overall. So with that, we're concluding part 3 of this webinar. We reviewed the platform type, the requirements to implement, the security measures available, user training, and some integration with other services. Some things that I think work really well with ATP is the ability to quickly get this enabled and to start protecting your users, as well as the automated investigation and remediation, and then user submissions overall with the add-on. Improvements that could be made could be, granularity on these policies and configuration. There isn't a whole lot of depth to them while still powerful. My scroll wheel is going a little crazy, sorry. In part 4 of this webinar, we're going to be reviewing FortiMail's anti-phishing solution and how Fortinet is able to protect your organization. We'll be reviewing platform type, requirements to implement, security measures such as FortiSandbox, content disarm reconstruction, virus outbreak protection, business email compromise, user training, and other considerations. One important facet to consider with FortiMail is the power of telemetry between other Fortinet products, which is referred to as the security fabric. You'll hear me reference this periodically throughout. So here you see the FortiMail web console where you are provided a quick summary of various statistics as it relates to your email platform. FortiMail is one of the more unique solutions that is available on a platform level, as you can have it as an appliance, a virtual machine, or even as a SaaS or software as a service solution. There's no requirements to implement, and it is available for all email platforms. Moving into security measures here, FortiSandbox is Fortinet's zero-day threat protection that provides AI-based sandboxing to help combat previously unknown threats. FortiSandbox utilizes two machine learning models models with static and dynamic analysis of suspicious objects. One consideration here is that this is offered independently as an appliance, a virtual machine, or a SaaS offering. It is not directly built into FortiMail. It's more of its own independent, centralized solution. Regardless of the platform selection, however, it still delivers the same rapid detection and automated response and provides this information back to the security fabric. Moving into virus outbreak protection, which you may have noticed earlier can be configured with the FortiSandbox. This policy closes the gap between antivirus updates and sandboxing, detect and stop malware threats discovered between signature updates before they can spread out through an organization. This service initiates a real-time lookup to Fortinet's global threat intelligence database, ensuring that you will always have the very latest in malware protection. In addition to this, you see the granularity and control available to you to really fine-tune this to your organization's needs. Looking at content disarm and reconstruction, we strip all active content from files in real time and create a flat sanitized file. All active content is treated as suspect and removed accordingly. Content disarm and reconstruction also processes all incoming files, deconstructs them, and then removes all elements that do not match your firewall policy if you have a Fortinet firewall. Content disarm and reconstruction can fortify your zero-day file protection strategy, which by proactively removing any possibility of malicious content in your files. With business email compromise, this is FortiMail's solution to protect against email impersonation by mapping high-value target display names with correct email addresses. One key distinguisher here, however, between some of the other solutions out there is there are two types of mappings. You are provided the ability to manually enter this mapping or configure dynamic mapping, which is where FortiMail service can automatically learn the mappings. In addition to this, you can use these two types of mappings in tandem and have a combination of both. Similarly to other solutions, we have URI click protection. This is where URLs are rewritten in email messages, and the URL will be directed to the FortiMail device. FortiMail device for additional FortiGuard filtering. This can be configured to work in tandem with your FortiSandbox for additional inspection. Moving into user training, is not as strong of a focal point with the Fortinet suite. While they do have a really in-depth training program available through their Network Security Expert program, it is designed for technical professionals. With that being said, you are able to create a customizable disclaimer or replacement message to generally warn recipients of contents and emails, but these can become stale and repetitive and disregarded when users are oversaturated. Now, while one could argue that FortiMail's solution is comprehensive enough to eliminate the need altogether, it is one facet of security to consider, as it is ultimately your last layer of defense against phishing and unknown malware. If one was to consider Fortinet products, I would be inclined to complement it with a solution such as KnowBe4. So in terms of integrations with FortiMail, we have Fortinet's own suite of products such as FortiGate, FortiWeb, FortiADC, FortiProxy, FortiClient, which goes back to that security fabric. But then you also have third-party solutions that are fabric ready, such as Atara Labs, Azure, Nutanix, and these all help organizations adopt a proactive approach to security by sharing indicators of compromise or IOCs, again, across that seamless security fabric. While there are not as many third-party solutions directly with FortiMail, they do have an extensive list of partners that I would encourage you to check out when considering Fortinet's ecosystem as a solution. In addition to this, there are some other considerations here would be that the FortiMail does support LDAP or Lightweight Directory Access Protocol and single sign-on, which seamlessly allows end users into their personal user portal. And with that, we have finished reviewing FortiMail on a high level as it pertains to phishing. To recap, we reviewed the platform types requirements to implement security measures such as FortiSandbox, content disarmament reconstruction, virus outbreak protection, business email compromise, URI as well, or URL rewriting, user training, and then some other considerations and integrations with other services. Some advantages here, I think with FortiMail is really the telemetry with Fortinet's suite of products that provides endpoint and device protection, application security, network security, and then sharing that information, that threat intelligence, to really enhance the overall threat awareness and broaden threat response. In addition to this, they are one of the more unique when it comes to the various platforms that are available for it. Again, as a SaaS solution, appliance, or virtual machine. And then just the sheer granularity when it comes to their policies. And then again, too, one other, or lastly here would be, user portals, which is similar to other solutions. Some improvements that could be made, however, would just be, email continuity, user training, and just overall ease of use for new technical administrators. And with that, please bear in mind that these solutions were heavily focused on how they apply to phishing, and they don't all encompass, they all encompass a plethora of features that were not discussed. Here we will find a brief high-level overview of the discussion points and a side-by-side analysis between, again, Mimecast, Office 365, and FortiMail. And with that, we're concluding this webinar. I'd like to thank those that watched and hope that you found this information valuable. I would also like to open this floor to any questions that you may have.